Few of us seem to truly realize that our species' fragile constitution is woefully unprepared for long-duration journeys into space.
You've heard of the Mile High Club, but what about the Space Baby Club? No one has ever joined it yet. But with the rise of space tourism, it's likely that it will eventually happen one day. And then we'll have a reality show called Space Mums. Now you might ask, why? Well, let's just say that some people might get bored or lonely in the vastness of space and decide to spice things up a bit. After all, if we ever wanted to colonize other planets, we'll need to figure out how to make babies in space. But before you get too excited, let me tell you, this video is not about space erotica or alien hybrids. We're going to keep it classy and factual here. But don't worry, it's going to be super fun and fascinating. Why? Because you are on Sagan's Sandbox. And you should expect nothing less from us. Okay, after a little confidence boost, let's continue. So how do we know if humans can reproduce in space? Well, one way is to look at other critters that have done it. And yes, there have been some critters that have pulled it off in space, such as fish, frogs, bugs, and plants. But these are very different from mammals, which have more complicated bits and pieces for making babies. The closest thing we have to a space baby with fur is a mouse embryo. That's right, mouse embryos in space. Sounds nuts, right? Well, not as nuts as you might think, because in 2023, some smart people from Japan sent frozen mouse embryos to the big tin can in the sky, where they were warmed up and grown for 4 days without gravity. Then they were brought back to Earth and checked out with embryos grown with gravity. And guess what? The embryos grown in space turned out fine, with no big changes in cell numbers, DNA, or gene expression. They even had the chance to grow into mouse babies and placentas if they were put into a mouse belly. This was the first ever study that showed that mammals may be able to survive in space, at least at the early stages of development. But of course, this doesn't mean that humans can reproduce in space. There are still a bunch of things we don't know and issues we have to deal with. You know, space is like a mean bully who likes to pick on living things. It throws radiation at you, which can mess up your DNA and make you sick. It makes you freeze or burn, depending on where you are. And it takes away gravity, which makes you feel weak and dizzy. Not exactly the ideal conditions for creating and nurturing new life, right? But wait, as if space wasn't bad enough, there's also the challenge of living with other humans in a confined space. Let me tell you what that means. Space life means being trapped in a small metal box with a bunch of other people who may or may not get along with you. Everything from food and water to air and toilets has to be shared. Strict rules and schedules have to be followed, and there's no escape for a stroll or a gulp of fresh air. Stress and boredom from missing family and friends, and fear and uncertainty from potential dangers have to be coped with. And all this has to be done while being watched and tracked by cameras and sensors, and reporting every little thing to the big boss. Sounds like a blast, right? And that's not all. As you know, space is not only a place where you float around, it's also a place where your body goes crazy. Gravity is like a boss that tells your body what to do. With less gravity, your body rebels and starts to change in strange ways. For example, your bones and muscles get lazy since they don't have to carry your weight. Your heart and blood vessels get tiny, as they don't have to send as much blood to your head.
Means bone loss, muscle atrophy, cardiovascular problems, among many other complications that range from the physiological to the psychological.
Your eyesight gets blurry when your eyeballs get squished and your optic nerves get puffy. Your immune system gets weak, while your white blood cells get sleepy. Your brain gets confused after your fluid balance and inner ear gets messed up. And your mood gets low before your hormones and neurotransmitters get out of sync. These are just some of the things that happen to you in space. There are many more that we are clueless about or that we haven't even found out yet. But what if, despite all these challenges and risks, some brave or crazy humans decide to have babies in space? What would that mean for them, for their offspring, and for the future of humanity? Well, it's not going to be easy or ethically straightforward. Having babies in space is not just a sci-fi fantasy, it's also a moral dilemma. How fair is it to drag them into such a nasty and risky place without their say? How smart is it to make a new bunch of humans that might be stuck in space or unfit for Earth? How cool is it to play with human life without knowing the future effects? These are some of the questions that we have to think about before we go for such a wild and irreversible ride. But what if some space babies start popping up on Mars or any other planets in the future? How would they be different from Earthlings in body, mind, and culture? How would they get along with their parents, their friends, and their planet? How would they see themselves? As Martians? As humans? Or as something else? One guess is that babies born on Mars could change a lot from Earthlings in just a few generations because of the Martian environment. They could grow new features like bigger heads, paler skin, tougher bones, and sharper eyes to deal with the low gravity, high radiation, and different light conditions. They could also learn new skills like working together, thinking outside the box, and being curious, to live and grow in the hard and lonely setting. They could become a new species, or at least a new subspecies of humans, that might not be able to interbreed with Earthlings anymore. Or what if some space babies stay the same as Earthlings, thanks to the technology and culture of their parents? They could use fake stuff like gene editing, pills, or chips to stop or fix any weird changes in their bodies or minds. And use fun stuff like books, videos, or games to keep or boost their connection and identity with Earth and humanity. They could become a new society, or at least a new community of humans that might not care about Earthlings anymore. Either way, it'll be a tough ride for the first batch of Mars babies. Imagine waking up on a planet where you can count the people on your fingers. Then looking at the pictures of Earth and realizing there are billions of people like you over there. And then trying to figure out why you're here in the first place. That's enough to make some go crazy. Or maybe not. Maybe they would be happy and proud to be the first Martians. You know, feeling special is a big deal for some of us. So what's your take? Would you like to be born on Mars? Yeah, that's the big question of the day. Let me know your opinion in the comments section. And since we're talking about Mars, we have a special video for you. It's all about Marsquakes. And let me tell you, it's very different from earthquakes. How different, you ask? Well, we are just keeping Quake and replacing Earth with Mars. Crazy, right? Just kidding, it's much deeper than that, and you better not miss it. Trust me, it's top-notch quality, and of course, if you enjoyed this video, please show some love by hitting the like button, sharing it with your friends, and smashing that subscribe button with the bell icon. Trust me, it's not rocket science, but it really helps us a lot. Thanks for watching, see you soon with more awesome space videos.